Well, hello, everybody. Happy Monday, and welcome back to the Hollywood Critics Association YouTube channel. You are watching Pop Council, the show where we talk about the latest in pop culture. I'm Wendy. I am one of your hosts, and hanging out with me, as always, is my awesome co-host, Jami Philbrick. Oh, no, dang it. I did it wrong. Jami Philbrick.
Where am I? Where is he? Where is he? Right here. Hey,
Over
Wendy.
here.
Woohoo! How are you? How was the weekend?
My muscles are sore today. I went to a concert last night and I've been waiting to go and see this concert. You and I've kind of talked about, the struggle of buying tickets from Live Nation, both on air and off air a little bit, mostly off air. But it was a struggle to get these tickets. They're a Korean boy group called Stray Kids. And there's 8 of them. And, they sing and dance, and they're a self-producing group. So they write their own music and they record their own stuff. We fought for these tickets, and I definitely feel like I paid way too much for them, but it's fine. We got to see them. They put on a really fantastic show.
Where was the venue?
It was the Kia Forum.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So somebody was like, oh, it makes sense for a K-pop group to play here because it's Kia. I'm like, oh, I get it, because it's a Korean car brand. Right. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it, because BTS played at Sophie.
So. Now, you said something that just blew my mind. You said the Kia Forum. Is that the world famous forum, the one in Inglewood? Like, did Kia buy it? It's
rebrand. I guess. Yeah, you're right. When I saw Hans Zimmer, it was just called the Forum,
and now it was always the fabulous Forum, and that's where the Lakers played in the 80s and in the 90s and the early 2000s. Kobe and Shaq before they moved to Staples Center. Wow. Okay. Yeah. The last time I was probably there was maybe right before the pandemic.
Okay.
For the Chris Cornell tribute concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was Foo Fighters and Metallica and Jack Black, and it was really fun. But it was still the Forum then. So this Kia thing.
Did that happen over the pandemic? Or we just didn't catch that news.
I think it might have. And I think it may even happen recently than that, because I remember, during the pandemic, maybe like a year ago when bands started, and, God rest his soul, Taylor Hawkins was still alive. I was going to go to Foo Fighters, and I believe it was still the Forum then. And that was only maybe a year and a half ago.
It must have been recent.
I think they ended up canceling that one actually because of COVID.
Oh, bummer.
The band got it, yeah.
Yeah, COVID ruined a lot of...
Sometime in this COVID cycle, right? Now we can kind of judge time by, like, were we in COVID yet? That's literally how I judge time.
Pre-COVID or post-COVID?
Pretty much.
Post-lockdown.
And then was reminded when I was interviewing the great Kim Coates the other day from Sons of Anarchy, and we mentioned he was like, how you been? I'm like, I survived the pandemic, and he reminded me, it's not over yet.
It's not.
It's not over yet, brother, he said.
Yep. I know I have to make sure I'm counting 5 days from the concert, which will make it Friday. So I have to go get a PCR test just to make sure I am in the clear before I go to Comic-Con, because if I'm sick, then I can't go to Comic-Con.
And then Comic-Con is right around the corner, man.
Oh, man. Are you going?
It's yet to be completely determined, but I would say I probably am not. But I have access to a go, and I may end up going for a day if something happens. Well, let's just leave it at that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, we'll keep it. I could be there on Saturday, but
okay. Yeah, I think I gotta knock on some doors.
Yeah.
To see about some Saturday stuff.
I've knocked on doors. Now I'm just crossing fingers.
Yes.
Doors have been knocked, and now the fingers are crossing.
You're waiting for an answer.
Hello? Yeah. Either way, it'll work out. I'm not dying to go down, so it's.
Okay.
There's part of me that's like, I want to keep my perfect streak, because I think before pandemic it was 14 years in a row I went.
Oh my gosh.
So if you don't count the 2 pandemic years, but I've wondered, would you count the November one last year? Did I already miss it? Okay, so that one wouldn't count.
That's like Comic-Con mini.
Okay, so we're not counting last year, and so this would be the first one since 2019 that really counts. So I'd like to go just to keep my streak going, but whatever, it's fine.
Even if you just go a day preview night.
Then I've got the streak. Exactly. So that's why I'm thinking I may, but only if I have to. Even as much as I enjoy it from a personal level, like I just can't imagine just driving down just to say I was there, or just to, walk around it's a lot. It's a lot. Wendy, have I ever told you about the first time I went to Comic-Con? Because it's a crazy story.
Please tell me.
2000. A friend of mine who lives in the San Diego area, may have been a little later. It may have been somewhere, but let's say somewhere between 2000 and 2003, but somewhere in those first couple of 2000s. I had a friend who was living in San Diego from college, and she said, "Hey, there's this Comic-Con thing," and I had heard about it. It hadn't become the major thing it is yet, right? In the early 2000s. At this point, it was still early in the days of Comic-Con. And so I had a friend said, I knew about it and said, "Oh, let's go to this." So I drove down. We went on a Saturday, no tickets, parked, walked up to the convention center. Yeah, parked easily. Walked into the convention center. There was a line on Saturday that went from the convention, like inside and wrapped all around the Bay Area, right?
Oh, okay.
And so they were telling us, you got to get to the end of the line if you want to buy day of tickets. This is back when you could buy a ticket the day of, right? So we go all the way. We don't even get to the end of the line. And we were like, forget this. I'm not standing in this line. So we went back to the front and just walked right in. We just walked in with no tickets, just walked right in and did the whole day. We went to a Kevin Smith thing and
oh my God.
Comic book guys, Justice League, that Jeff Johns was there and a bunch of people signed, my comic books and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there was no line. There was a line. We just skipped it and walked right in and no one stopped us. Ever asked us for badges or anything. Now, granted, that's the early 2000s, but
yeah. Wow.
And then the other crazy story is that first day, so we had done the Kevin Smith panel. We were walking out, and this is hard to fathom, but like there weren't a lot of people back then. So like you could be walking upstairs through a hallway, and it could be fairly empty, which is not something that would ever have happened in the last 10 years.
No.
And so my friend and I were walking, we're talking, and all of a sudden we kind of felt like a group of people sort of walking by us, but like they were real, like shoulder to shoulder with us at this point. And I looked over and it was Stan Lee surrounded by 5 or 6, people ushering him from one thing to the next thing. But at this point, we're now walking pace together, shoulder to shoulder. And I just turned on, never met him before. I just turned to him. I was stunned. And I said, "Stan Lee, thank you for all the years of great comic books and characters you gave us." He shook my hand and he waved his finger in my face and said, "I did it all for you, kid." And then he took off right down the hallway. Like,
oh my God.
It was like he sprinted off, But
when he's like spry.
Yeah, well, I don't think he wanted the conversation to go any longer. It was kind of like he said what he said and move on. But my friend and I were stunned. Like, did that just happen? Like, what? So that's my first Comic-Con, the first time I met Stan Lee.
That's incredible.
But what a story. Much different from now, right?
Oh my gosh.
The Comic-Con we know. Like it's almost
Talent couldn't walk down the hallway with just 5 people surrounding them and they get mobbed.
Right. Yeah. Right. And there was no one else in the hallway.
Yeah.
I mean, this was on the second floor. There was just no one else up there. It was a long time ago. Yeah. I mean, this was before like stars were even there. Like, I want to say like maybe Angelina Jolie was doing a signing for Tomb Raider or something, but there was no like big panel presentation, with all the stars, like showing clips from Tomb Raider or anything like that. Like this was still like
a true Comic-Con.
Yeah, like Kevin Smith's sort of rant session was one of the big things.
Still is today.
And this tells you how long this is. The Jersey Girl. He was promoting Jersey Girl. That's how long ago this was.
Whoa.
Yep.
Wow. What a story. I love that story.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see if we end up there this year. But
yeah, let me know if you go.
Either way, I will.
I'll be there for at least 2 days.
Very good. Very good. That should be fun. Are you
Yeah, it should
excited?
be fun. I am. Well, I'm excited for like
Yes.
yay Comic-Con, but because like the pandemic, and I think because of that, like I'm kind of weird now in large crowds, so I'm just a little nervous about that. But and again, I went to a concert last night, double masked. You do what you can, and the rest is.
What are you excited for? Like, is there anything at Comic-Con that's like announced already that you're excited
Oh,
to hear about or see?
well, I'm definitely curious about that Marvel panel because I was dead set thinking they weren't going to be there.
Right.
Period. So when it was announced, I was like, what do you mean they're going? Because D23 is literally like 1.5 months after that. And like, I know how big of a showcase D23 is going to give all of its properties, Disney properties, including Marvel. So I was surprised, but I'm curious about that. I think Black Adam is going to San Diego Comic-Con. So I think I could be wrong.
That would make sense.
It would
That
make
would
sense because it's next, and I don't think they have like a DC fandom scheduled.
Right. They're not doing
So
DC fandom this year?
I haven't heard anything about
I
it.
haven't heard anything either. I assumed that they were
So
kind of waiting for that, but yeah, maybe
yeah,
they're. I mean, Black Adam would be huge if they can bring that. I mean, with Marvel, I too was surprised that they're going at all.
yeah,
My guess is it's going to be She-Hulk. That's going to be
yes,
because that's the only thing premiering between Comic-Con and D23.
right.
Wakanda Forever is obviously one that's the next movie, so
But
that
they'll
would
save
be.
that for D23, I
I
think.
feel like they'd save it for D23, and I also feel like
Who knows?
there's a lot going on with that movie, right? There's the whole, we don't have the star anymore, and who is going to really be the star of this franchise moving forward? And
Yeah,
obviously, they've had some issues with some tweets from certain cast members, so I wouldn't be surprised if they want to sort of keep that close to the vest for as long as they can. But She-Hulk makes a lot of sense. And I'm
yeah.
hoping that they just have some phase 4 announcements. Like I
What I
feel like they
want.
need to
Yeah,
make a couple of small announcements and then they can kind of and then She-Hulk can sort of save the rest for D23. But even like in 2019 when they had a big Marvel presentation, and that's when Natalie came out and held the hammer for the first time.
yes.
Those kind of announcements. They still did stuff at D23, but it was just smaller than I would have expected. It was almost like their Comic-Con announcements
We're bigger.
overshadowed whatever was going to come at D23. I think we got more about like
Raya had a big what if Raya like other
but I think it was
properties.
more about the Disney Plus shows at that point and telling more about it. So it'll be interesting to see. Like that's a big decision for them. Like how much do we reveal at Comic-Con? How much do we save for D23? But yeah, that's definitely like the big thing that I would be looking forward to. I mean, I'm also interested in. I mean, Prey's coming out pretty soon, so there, you know what I mean. I'm fine with just waiting until the movie's out in a couple of weeks. But I'd love to know what they're doing with Dungeons and Dragons a little bit more, especially.
See, that's the one. Yeah, I want to visit the tavern. They have like a tavern experience, so I'm gonna email back Paramount and just be like, "Hey, I'm super interested. I play D&D.
A reservation.
Yeah, I want to make a reservation. Yeah, just got to do it.
It's not like the Tron arcade that. Wasn't the Tron arcade there for like 5 years in a row? Like
was it? I never. Oh, like Flint's? I never went.
Ever? Yeah, I felt like it was there forever.
They should bring it back just because.
I know, Maria. Why not?
Why not? Nostalgia is the thing now, so why not?
I read something about Tron just over the weekend. Some article that was passing through my feed, and it was like Disney's most something like Disney's biggest franchise that they don't consider a franchise or something like that. And I just
it is a pretty big thing because I quite like the newest movie.
Get the like credit or does it? I love the last movie, but yeah, it just doesn't.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe now that he's Mr. Top Gun, he'll Joseph. Yeah.
Oh
maybe
yeah.
Maybe if he's got an idea.
Yeah.
I would imagine that they would be more apt to talk to him now that he's directed one of the biggest movies ever made.
Yeah, it's that thing is still making money.
It's still making money.
Still counting the dollar bills.
Yeah.
I am excited about the D&D thing, Hall H for Marvel, obviously, and then the Her Universe fashion show, which happens every year, but we haven't had an in-person one. They did a virtual one and it was good and it was fine and there was a lot of production that went into it, but you want to see it live and it's cooler live. So that's Thursday night. I'm definitely going to make sure I get a seat for that.
Fun.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be good deal. And with that, I think we should dive into our topics today. We're talking about a new director for Captain America 4, box office results for Thor, Love and Thunder, and of course, all of our spoiler thoughts for Thor, Love and Thunder. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the first bit of news. We do now have a director for Captain America 4. This, of course, will be the Sam Wilson story. And before we even dive into any of it, I think it was, I don't know which outlet tweeted something about, hey, it's found its director, but then kind of they added in like, will Chris Evans make an appearance, a cameo, whatever. And Chris Evans literally quote tweeted that and wrote back and is like, Sam Wilson is Captain America. The man couldn't be more clear. He's hung up the shield. He's passed it on. I think he's done. If anything, if any cameo does happen, it would be a flashback of Sam thinking back to the days, and that they can pull that from any of the movies that Chris Evans have done. He doesn't need to keep going back to revisit these roles. I think he wants to tell other stories and play other characters. But we do have a fabulous director who is going to be in charge. This is going to be his first Marvel property ever, but he is no stranger to directing pretty big films, such as the Cloverfield Paradox. And this is Julius Onah. Hopefully I'm saying his last name correctly. He also directed Loose, which is the most recent film that he has done. So I think this is, I like the choice because Loose kind of captures that emotional bit of things, which I feel like to following up Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we should be able to see some of that, those emotional storylines play out with Sam Wilson, assuming he revisits things with one Isaiah Bradley, because that's one of the things I feel we could have had more time with Isaiah. But they also kind of wrapped it up nicely too, if they don't want to explore that. But with Cloverfield Paradox, there's action sequences. So I think he's going to be he's a really interesting choice. And I'm actually excited to see what he's going to do with Captain America 4.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, representation is important. I don't think you could have a white male director making this film. I think this is a great choice. There's a lot of great directors to choose from, and this is a good one. I really liked, and in fact, we were talking about this before. I think his Cloverfield is my favorite of the Cloverfields. I'm not a huge Cloverfield fan in general, but the sci-fi elements in that I really liked. So I think that and Loose as well. So I think that this is a great choices. And I too hope that they really launch off from because for me the Falcon Winter Soldier series was a little hit and miss at times, and so the parts that really hit, I hope that they build on with this film, and I think that's the plan. I want to talk about the Chris Evans part because that's ridiculous. Enough.
Yeah,
this with Sam Wilson. And to a lesser degree, Anthony Mackie as an actor, but Sam Wilson as a character, both have earned this point in time, right? They've earned through his great performances and bringing this character to life, the actor, and through the character, obviously the blueprint of the Marvel comics that we have, but he becomes Captain America. Let him become Captain America. Stop bringing up Chris Evans. Stop complaining about Chris Evans being in Lightyear or whatever your nonsense is. And now I could see him coming back as old man Steve. In a mentor role. But I would think the fear of doing that would be you do not want to overshadow.
Yes. Not in his first solo movie
of Captain America. Correct. So I would be okay with maybe an end credit, little teaser, like Sam is the only one in the world that knows where old Steve is now, and he goes to something it sort of ties it all together in a way, kind of gives closure. And I know we've already really had closure to Captain. I mean, how much closure to Captain America do you need? But okay, I would take a little, I think there are questions of what did happen to Old Man Steve and where is he? All right, bottle that, wrap that all up and this is your Captain America. He's great, great actor, great character. Let's move on and let it be his movie. I mean, I've also heard stuff about the assumption that Sebastian Stan would be in this as well, and that
I could see
Bucky
that.
could be, continue, I guess, as his Robin in a sense.
Cute.
But which I don't mind either. But part of me really says no. Don't put in Sebastian Stan. Don't put in Chris Evans. Let Anthony Mackie be the star of this movie. And let it be his movie, and you can bring back, blanking on his name, the actor from Alias. He was the voice of Martian Manhunter, but he's Isaiah. I'm blanking.
Oh, yes. Isaiah. Carl
Lumberg. Yes, thank you. Great actor. And so, bringing back him, making Elijah, right? He could really be the new, Robin. The sidekick.
For Young Avengers.
And then we also have a young Falcon, right? We have a new
Falcon.
Oh,
Joaquin Torres.
Right. So
there's a lot. They left some breadcrumbs for that.
And I would wonder if Sharon's story is still to unfold in this. She's revealed as the villain at the end of the TV series, or
so we think. If she's even Sharon.
Is shit right? Oh, right. Are you thinking? I'm thinking
I'm thinking maybe Secret Invasion.
Yes. I was just thinking about Secret Invasion. I mean, this is a side topic. I was just thinking about Secret Invasion last night, and I was like, well, there's a lot of story to tell, so it's great in a sense that they're doing it as a TV show. Part of the fun of the comic book was seeing the big reveal of what major characters were Skrulls or not Skrulls, and you're not going to get all the movie stars. I mean, I know we've gotten a few announced names, but you're not going to get, and what if we want to have Tony Stark reappear and he's a Skrull? Can you get Robert Downey Jr. to do a cameo on the TV show? I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know how you do the big superhero names that are played by big movie stars, in Secret Invasion. But I'm still excited for Secret Invasion because I love that comic. So
I feel like that's the show that's going to blow everybody's mind.
I think this is a great choice for a director. I like his work. He's the right man for the job. And I just hope that they treat Mackie fairly. Don't try to overshadow him by sticking another, and making it, or making a Captain America and Thor movie or Captain America and Hulk movie. I just want a Captain America. I want a Sam Wilson movie.
Yes. I mean, they paved the way, like Sam Wilson / Anthony Mackie paved the way for the reveal, like his just trajectory from not so unsure about, taking on the mantle and picking up that shield. That's a lot of responsibility and other stuff that comes with it. But, and it's kind of like I feel like the struggle of like, do I want to do this? And I want to do this. And just the reveal at the end with the costume and the wings. So we're not losing kind of the Falcon part of him. And there's, like I said, like there's breadcrumbs of what they did with Taurus, like giving him the wings. And that was such a cool character. So I feel like we don't necessarily need to have these, Bucky would be great. And their chemistry on screen and off screen, like the bromance I really love. But I want it to be like starring Sam Wilson. And I don't really want to share the screen with too many people that can take that spotlight away, because I think he's earned it.
Yep.
But having the inclusion of Isaiah or Elijah or Taurus, and even let's just say maybe they tap into a little bit of the power broker stuff like that. Right. I'd be okay with, because I am curious about that. But I don't need a Bucky to be in this, because I think we got that in the show, and Bucky will probably return in another way. I don't even need Zemo back, because I think Zemo will also come back in another if he wants to. I am curious about US Agent. That I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of, maybe a post-credit scene.
And Val?
And Val, yeah. I like to see, just how that, because they've been sprinkling in that throughout the movies. And if you think back to like the earlier phases of MCU with Thanos, like the breadcrumb was there, and they just did it a little bit. Now it's more noticeable because we're just waiting and speculating on 50 million things. Is it Mephisto or is it real, right? So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff, and I think this director, Julius Onah, is going to do, from what I feel like reading his, list of credits, I feel like he's the right choice for this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to go ahead and stay in the MCU for the rest of the show, because we got to talk a little Love and Thunder, and we got to talk the box office, because man, this thing is moving. So this earned, with its debut, $143 million in the box office. Just here in North America, it's played in over 4,000 theaters. So that's pretty good. And it's also the highest earning Thor movie out of the four. So looking at the notes here, it looks like Thor Ragnarok opened to 123 million. And then comparing it to some of the other box office hits, Jurassic World Dominion made 145 million, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness made 185 million. So not too shabby for Thor Love and Thunder. Yeah. And I imagine that will continue to climb up. And I think internationally, the expectation is 159 million. And the film, just to kind of put things in perspective, it cost them $250 million to produce and about $100 million more to promote, which is very expensive.
Well, then that's part of the problem, right? And so you need your movie to open at like 150 million just to even possibly get close to that. And then it's going to be interesting to see, I don't think there's a huge movie opening in the second weekend, so they should be
Not
good
so
for
much.
the second weekend.
Yeah.
But how much is it going to drop, right? Like, is it going to drop 60%, 80%? What I think is really amazing right now, and especially if you look at where we've been over the last 2 years, the fact that like 4 or 5 movies in the top 10 are getting over 30 million, 25, $30 million each weekend. You know what I mean? And this has been continuous. Like we've had, Minions and Jurassic and Top Gun, and these movies are doing, Bad Guys did really good. Like these movies are really, people are going to the theaters and seeing films, which is great. So I think, it's crazy to think we might be approaching a world where $145 million opening weekend is fairly disappointing. I don't think we're there yet with this particular film. Like you said, it's done better than the other Thors and blah, blah, blah. But I do think Marvel should be careful because, the more expensive, the bigger these movies get. And, if they don't register, and obviously Marvel movies do, but we've heard some, not everyone loved Doctor Strange as much as I did. The second one. I didn't really care for Eternals. There's some people did, some people didn't. They're not all, that sort of end of phase 3, where it was like Black Panther, Captain Marvel, every movie's coming out, great reviews, great box out, like I think, I don't think that they have anything to worry about with Thor, but looking ahead at some of the films coming out, I don't know. Do you think that there's some possible Marvel fatigue coming in the near future?
I don't think it's Marvel fatigue. More so, I feel like some of the comments that I'm seeing on the internet would be, and I guess this is again in a bubble, right? But people are voicing it. They feel that Phase 4 is not as great, and I think the problem is that we just came off the high of Avengers Infinity War, Endgame and Infinity War, which are fantastic, but that was Phase 3. Right. How many phases and how many films did it take for us to get to that? And so I don't expect every single Marvel movie to be like Infinity War. You can't, because if you expect that every time, there has to be something that builds up to it for us to feel a connection emotionally and invested in these characters to see what happens to them. Like if we didn't get to watch Natasha Romanoff do all of her things from all the way her introduction in Iron Man 2 to what happens to her in the final 2 Avengers film, we wouldn't have felt that loss. Like we invested the time with her. So phase 4, I think it's one coming off of what happened after Infinity War. We're still dealing with like a lot of these films, and Disney Plus shows are talking about the blip and how that affects people.
Right.
So it's kind of almost like the aftershock of Infinity War. It's like, yay, we won, but we also lost some, friends, family, people. So I think this is all setting up for that next phase so we can get somewhere again and have a really insane movies, like Endgame and Infinity War, but we got to take the time to get there. So I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's people expecting they want this because it's so good.
And I think to that point, part of the problem is when we were getting phase 1 and even phase 2 movies, there was an expectation of phase 3, right? So now, like you're saying, like a lot of fans have this expectation of, and I think certain people were expecting certain things out of the multiverse
Yes.
madness, and didn't get what they were looking for, and so we didn't have those expectations when the films were coming out in phase 1. So I think it's also the expectations of the studios too. If you're spending $300 to $400 million on a movie, then you've got to make more than $50 million in profit. You know what I mean? Like you need to. So I wonder if it wouldn't help to maybe scale down the films a little bit.
Right.
Going forward, because
like it's such a marquee event.
Not every movie is going to be Endgame, and there's an expectation now that every movie's Endgame, and then you get an Eternals or a Black Widow that aren't Endgame. They're good, but they're not
good.
Endgame.
Right.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Shang-Chi, and I was like, man,
No Way Home.
No Way Home was so good.
Right. And I would even say Shang-Chi's not on No Way Home level. You know what I mean?
And I love Shang-Chi. I love it.
I put on a strong, first Iron Man level, right? It's like a really good.
But like No Way Home, and again, No Way Home has the buildup from the previous.
Right. So not every movie is going to be the built-up movie,
right?
But if we're spending the same amount of money on the setup movie as we are on the build-up movie, then the math isn't going to work out in the end.
Right. Yeah.
Which may be why we're setting up a lot of things on Disney Plus now, where it's cheaper.
Oh yeah, it's much cheaper, and it's easier.
Now we know, without doing a $200 or $300 million Moon Knight movie or Miss Marvel movie, we know now who the fans are for those characters, and is there enough of a fan base for a full movie, or is this a character we sprinkle in something else?
Absolutely. And with that, I do want to point our attention to our super chat. This one is from Fredtastic314. Thank you so much for your super chat, for the support, who writes, thanks guys for doing this. I am loving phase 4 because it's a new direction that I can follow and not be lost like I was in phase 1. See, that's the thing. It's I think that's what's cool about phase 4 is these are some of the characters we're familiar with, some of the characters we're not as familiar with, and some of the other characters, like the remaining Avengers, like Thor, you get to see where Thor's going to go next. Like, I'm very curious to what the next Thor film or whatever he's going to be featured in, like where does he go from the end of Thor Love and Thunder? So there's a lot of stuff, and I just think as fans we have to kind of, and it's hard because I'm very excited for like what's next, more.
Right.
But yeah, I think we have to temper our excitement just a little bit and like let Marvel do their thing. But yes, I do agree. I think 100 million on promo it sounds insane, but I also think it's like kind of the norm for these.
I mean, it barely is the norm, but
yeah,
that may be part of the problem.
Yeah, because they need to make back that money, Yeah, which I think they will, between merch and all of that stuff. I think
that's why opening weekend is so important now.
So important, yeah.
And we're 145 opening weekend used to be amazing. Now it's like
people want 275,
right.
285.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. Even Sean Banks here has a comment that I will pull up here. He says, personally, I don't expect every movie to be like Infinity War and Endgame, have to build up to that. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I absolutely agree. And with that, should we talk about some spoilers for Thor Love and Thunder and the remaining time that we have on the show?
Please.
I literally have not heard your thoughts at all for the film. So I think I want to start by asking you, what was your expectation for Thor Love and Thunder going in?
Oh, my expectation was Ragnarok Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't want to say I was disappointed in the film because I liked it, but I didn't love it. I didn't love it like I did Ragnarok. Like, I think Ragnarok's one of the top 5 Marvel movies ever made. This one wasn't quite there for me. I would compare it more to, like, I think it's a strong sequel as far as the sequels go. Like, I might put it up with like a Guardians 2 or an Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp, as being like on that level where it doesn't quite exceed the first one, but it was fairly good. I loved Natalie Portman. Loved Natalie Portman. She's the movie for me. She makes the movie.
Great.
And I thought this is where I'll get a little bit of a spoiler. I thought this was a Passing the Hammer movie. It is not a Passing the Hammer movie. Chris Hemsworth is Thor for the foreseeable future. And I love Chris. I have nothing against, and I have no problem with Chris continuing to be Thor. But I was hoping that, without spoiling too much, that Jane would continue to be Mighty Thor. And that they would be the Thors moving forward, and that's not the case. So I was disappointed in that. There are ways that Natalie Portman can return to the franchise.
Oh, yeah.
They were put in there, and other people as well. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So that was good.
Yes.
There's a Thor character who suddenly mysteriously has a son that we never heard about. That's a little weird, but I'll go with that. It was never mentioned before. Okay, fine. I did think I love Taika. Love him as an actor. Love him as a director. I think he went to the well one too many times with similar set pieces and jokes to Ragnarok. So like the Asgardian theater actors that Matt Damon is part of, and Melissa McCarthy joins now, and Sam Neill and Luke Hemsworth. That was funny for like a second in the first Ragnarok, but bringing it back and then making it even longer, and I think Damon's even in a second scene. Like, we find out more.
Yeah. They're both in a second scene.
I don't care about any of that. Like, that was, you were just rehashing the same joke to me, and it wasn't any funnier the second time. And adding Melissa McCarthy. Part of the problem was also the fact that we all knew what Melissa McCarthy was doing in this movie.
See, that's the thing. That's why sometimes I hate the leaks.
That did ruin that.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious had we not. Even more funny.
If your joke hangs on that one thing, right? If your joke is it's Melissa McCarthy as Hela, that's the only joke, then there's a larger problem there, right? Because that joke's not funny if it's gone because it was spoiled by casting. Like, it's not enough to make that scene worthy of even being in the movie. And then also I thought that the Court of Gods that Russell Crowe Zeus, I thought that was just trying to do the Contest of Champions Hulk scene again. That was just the same set piece.
Okay.
Probably if you run both movies side by side, they happen around the same time code, I'm guessing. Probably about an hour into the 45 minutes, hour into the movie. It just seemed like the same scene to me. So that didn't really work for me as much. Hemsworth was fine. I loved Natalie. Loved Christian Bale. I thought Christian Bale was... He's kind of playing a villain in a different movie. It's almost like his villain doesn't belong in this movie. He should be the villain of a darker movie. But that being said, I think he's great. I love the choice that he would be a black and white character in this color, and that when the colorful characters like the Thors go to his world, they're in black and white.
Yes.
So I really like that choice. You know, like I said, overall, like I gave it 4 stars out of 5 in my review,
and that's good.
Yeah, I do like it, but I do have like some issues and some criticisms with it. I don't think it's as good as Ragnarok on that level. And then just 2 more things I want to mention: the end credit scene, without giving away too many spoilers.
Yes, even though I think it's already out.
Well, I think it opens up a larger MCU problem of that all these end credits since
Adam Warlock.
I was gonna say since Eternals, but I think you could make a case for Black Widow as well, although that was a little messed up because of
timeline.
Because it being released after Winter Soldier and Falcon. That, you know, the end credit scenes used to show you something that you're going to see in the next movie.
Yes.
Or give you a hint, or just be a fun joke, like, Tony Stark telling his problems to Bruce Banner like a psychiatrist,
right.
Something like that. Now it seems to me every end credit scene, and again, Black Widow, Eternals, certainly, this one seems to, and Doctor Strange seems to be, let's take a really deep cut Marvel comic book character that even the hardcore fans probably are not that sure about who that is, and let's cast them with either a really famous movie star like Charlize Theron, or a fan favorite actor like a Harry Styles, or in this case, the actor from Ted Lasso.
Yes.
And so I know now, for me, I knew who Hercules was, but I didn't recognize the guy from Ted Lasso because I don't watch Ted Lasso. So I had to be like, well, who's the guy playing him? Where other people in the theater was like, that's the guy from Ted Lasso, but who's he playing?
Okay.
Yeah, right. And so, and even deep cut fans, even hardcore Marvel fans, I don't think knew who Clea was when Charlize Theron showed up.
That one took me a second. I'm like,
that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Get it.
So how long can this kind of last where the end credits are just these, kind of casting announcements, really? That's all they've been for the last 4 or 5 movies.
Yeah.
And then the ending of the film, again, I'll just say, without trying to not spoil too much, I get what they were doing. I like it. I guess I would have liked it more if it was, and I'm just going to spoil this, if it was Thor and Jane's offspring as opposed to Gore's offspring that then becomes his daughter and sidekick. And I would have loved Jane to survive. And I don't know where you go now with, and there was also like, not if she's the next, like if she's going to stay, if Love and Thunder are the new dynamic duo for the Marvel universe and she's going to stay as Love, like there wasn't enough setup of that character. You know what I mean? I don't know who she is. All I know is she's this guy who tried to kill everyone in the movie for 2 hours daughter. Like, I have no connection to her. She's the bad. I don't know. That was a little weird.
That was also my criticism for the third act. I really enjoyed Act 1, Act 2. It's the funniest Thor film. And I say this with like going in, fully expecting Taika's humor. I was surprised that they cranked up to 11. But again, I'm not complaining because that's what I was expecting. So like, I think a lot of your criticism, like I hear them and I was like, okay, that's like legit, because I think a lot of people, you're waiting for like a follow-up from Ragnarok and how is it going to go? So they dialed it up with the humor, but I think the juxtaposition of it was with gore, and love seeing like a lot of the really crazy horror moments with the really muted colors, the shadow monsters, which are super creepy, when he had, took a bunch of people hostage and try to entertain them. And I was just like, wow, this guy is out of touch. And it was creepy and great. And I love seeing Christian Bale in the role. And I actually wanted more of that. And I feel like had we gotten a little bit more with Christian Bale, I think the third act, I think for at least this audience member, I think it would have paid off better because, like I said, I wasn't super invested with the daughter. So like I get it, I understand why and the hurt, and that's what drove Gore to do what he did, but like I didn't care enough. So the payoff for me at the end, I was like, okay, cute. So that was kind of like my only my one of the main issues I have. I actually don't have too much of a problem with them what they did with Jane. Like I was kind of surprised. I thought also maybe this could be potentially a pass the torch sort of a situation,
Right.
but I'm also fine with it being not because I love Chris Hemsworth as Thor, so I can't imagine. I'm not personally ready to see him leave the role yet, but I do love Jane Foster in this. I think this is the best Jane Foster in all of the Thor films, and I think Natalie Portman had a great time. Just like look at her, just look at her in these. Where is just like
she's fantastic in it. No, she's great.
So beefy. And you know she's little. I say this because she's little. She's literally like maybe an inch taller than me. She is petite.
She is tiny. Yeah. I met her in person a couple weeks ago, and yeah,
she's little.
I agree with that. Like, it's not that I wanted to see Chris go. I love him as Thor too. I mean, quite frankly, I can't see him playing anything else but Thor. He's got to play Thor the rest of his life. This guy, you know, when you're that big, what else are you gonna do? But I did think that I would have liked to seen Jane. Yeah, I guess not die. Yeah. Yeah, I would have liked to see them continue. I mean, look, what you got at the end of, you know, the Love and Thunder idea, like this, that he's no longer Thor, he's now part of a team, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I would have liked
what's
that.
What's her power? That's interesting too.
Well, she has a hammer.
No. I mean, with the daughter.
No. I mean, the daughter has the hammer.
No, she was holding He was holding Stormbreaker, and he was holding Mjolnir.
And she has Mjolnir. Yeah.
No, the other way around. She. I don't think she's worthy.
She has Stormbreaker.
She has Stormbreaker. Yeah.
Okay. But either way, both of them have hammer / axe.
Yes. So it's just like I wonder because she was born out of love and she's born out of eternity. Like they made a point to say that. So like what more is there?
More powers than just wielding Stormbreaker. Yeah.
Yes. So
yeah, but I don't see why you couldn't have done that with Natalie. Yeah. Why couldn't
that would have been cool?
The end of the movie been like the Thor couple. I don't know.
Yeah. She's coming back. She's not done.
Yeah, yes, although in what role? Although I think if I remember correctly from the comics, like she does die and comes back like right away.
Oh, well, the next film then.
If I remember correctly, and if the scene that they play off in the end credit is leading to this from the comics, she goes inside, she meets Odin, and Odin father says, "You're not supposed to be here yet," or something like that, and sends her back. Yeah.
What the heck?
If I remember correctly, she doesn't stay dead long in the comics. She goes back like almost. I don't remember if it was like in the same issue or like the next, like it happened at the end of one issue.
But pretty quickly.
Is very. From what
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. And then just reading some of the.
Hemdale staying dead, we want Hemdale to stay dead. Right, there's nothing left for interest.
I love him. Well, I think if he stays in Valhalla, then that leaves room for Axel to, or Astrid to
him from
because they made a point to where he had like a private training session with Lady Sif. So I think he's also going to play. They're also gathering up like the younger team. So I think there's something bigger at play here. That they're building the slow roadmaps too, like for Young Avengers. And I know I wasn't ever aware of this character, but like I'm for it. I think he was fun to watch in the film. And just going by some of the comments, the MK Songbird says more tooth gnasher and tooth grinder. I friggin' love the goats. I don't know how you felt about the goats. I loved every moment with them.
Yeah, the goats that's a very Taika thing.
Yes.
didn't bother me one way or the other. You know, I didn't overly love the goats, but I didn't dislike the goats. The goats are fine.
They made me laugh. And also, Fantastic says Stormbreaker was the surprise comedy hit for me. I was not expecting that. That little bit, and that's again Taika comedy, coming into play using an seemingly inanimate object like a Stormbreaker to have emotions and feelings and be like, excuse me, I'm standing right here. Who helped you out during Infinity War? Oh, right, not Mjolnir, me. So
that was funny. That was good.
Yes. And with that, I think that wraps up our final thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder. Hope you guys all had a chance to enjoy it. And I'm curious to what is next, the next chapter. But the only thing we can do as fans is be patient and wait for the next property, which will be, let's see, Miss Marvel's wrapping up this coming tomorrow or Wednesday, final episode. And then we will get She-Hulk. And then it will be Black Panther. So still lots of Marvel content to come. Jami, this was a great conversation. Like, we talked about Comic-Con, we talked about Captain America 4, we talked about Thor: Love and Thunder. I hope to see you at Comic-Con, even if it's just for a day in passing.
We'll see. I may, you never know. I may just pop in. We'll see.
Yeah, that'd be great. And with that said, where can everybody find you on the internet?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at my name, Jamie Philbrick, or at Philbrick, actually, on Instagram or Twitter. And check out Movie Phone for your show times, movie listings, reviews, interviews, and all that good stuff.
And for me, you can find me at just my name, Wendy Lee Zaney, no spaces, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube will be The Movie Couple. Thanks you so much for watching. We will be back next Monday with more Pop Council. See you then. Take care.